3, 2, 1, you're on the air.
Hello, welcome to the Gary and Kenny Show. I'm Gary Kroger in Waterloo, Iowa, and I am joined by
Angela Lansbury from Calabasas, California.
Angela Lansbury in Calabasas. For all of those who are just tuning in for the first time, why in the fuck did you say you're Angela? Please explain, Kenny.
Well, you know why. Because a couple of weeks ago, well, I know that, but you could tell, but you don't have to sound like you're surprised that I did it. Anyhow, a couple of weeks ago, I thought, given the fact that every time we come on the air, you say, you're Gary, and I say, I'm Kenny. I thought it would be more interesting if there was some mystery and surprise to it, and that you never knew who was with Gary.
Right.
Today.
And I think it's wonderful.
And that's just being cute. It's just being cute.
What made you say Angela Lansbury?
You know, that's an amazing thing.
Just pop into your head?
Pop into my head. Isn't that an interesting? And now I realize why I did. Because when I think of Angela Lansbury, I think of you.
Because I did 2 Murder, She Wrotes.
That's correct.
Was that a plug for my past career?
Yeah, no, this is.
Were you watching one of them recently? Were you?
No, you're the only one that posts clips of it on Facebook.
So you were on my Facebook page as I was self-promoting, and you connected me with Angela.
Didn't you did a couple of those, and then you got your own spinoff.
Well, I did. It was sort of a back end pilot. There was talk of.
You can't say back end anymore.
There was talk of a couple of spinoffs with characters that I was part of the murder mystery. Columbo, I did a 2 Murder, She Wrotes. Yeah, I thought it had legs. Didn't go anywhere. So
I thought they were good, and I thought you were good.
Well, you're very kind. I thought I was good. Yeah. I enjoyed doing that. I always felt that was my niche, was sort of these quickly created characters, the kind of television.
You know where I think you made a mistake?
Where? In my life? Which?
I mean, George Hamilton got a talk show with his wife.
Right. I produced it.
That's my point. You should not have. You should have stayed an actor. Once you did that, it took you away from pursuing your acting career.
Well, there's truth to that.
Yeah.
There's truth to that. There's truth to that. Because
now, can you tell me where in my career I went wrong?
You retired. I don't know. No, you were doing Disney television.
I'm joking.
Well, it's interesting because the business back then, you were much more pigeonholed. Once you started doing things like when I started, God forbid, when I did a game show, I was done as an actor. Yep. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think people a little bit, but I see actors, especially comedic actors doing big game shows.
If they're big network 1-hour game shows, but not a strip show, not like a regular. Even like when Drew Carey did the Let's Make a Deal, he wasn't good on sitcoms anymore.
Well, Drew Carey, Price is Right.
Price is Right.
That's what he did. Right. Well, my thing was, and it is my work ethic, being an Iowan, probably, was to work. And so when I couldn't stand 6 months of just auditioning with my thumb up my ass, and so I wrote for game shows, I even was a joke writer. I produced the daytime television show. And you're right, it probably killed my career, but I worked.
Well, no, I know you did, and I'm not saying. Listen,
and now it's a colorful background.
Now I feel terrible that I brought this up.
No, never.
Let's
talk
about something else.
Let's talk about like The World, like Bill Murray, like who's the latest casualty of inappropriate behavior?
Well, it's yes. Do you believe that? I know. I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't. You can't. Every discussion, every article has been written, but as long as there's Twitter and social media, these kind of things are going to happen. That was my point.
They're going to happen, and it's very difficult for me, and it's very difficult for both of us to take a position here because we're going to be hit for the fact that we're a couple of white guys, a couple of men. Because
I am Angela Lansbury.
You are Angela Lansbury, but my feeling is. And I don't want to call myself a feminist because that'll get attacked too. But of course, I am empathetic, sympathetic, an activist when it comes to women's rights.
I've been right. I'm just going to say this.
Go ahead. Well, just let me finish. Yeah. And so my position was with the Frank Langella thing is what that does is it infantilizes women rather than empower them. To say, hey, wait a second, you crossed the line. We're saying go to the authorities. that's an infantile paradigm that we're putting women into. And that does not empower women.
Well, first of all, the fact that you were able to work infantile into that whole thing was great. I don't think I've used infantile for a long time. Yes, everything you say, I agree with. But besides the thing that they were alleged to have done, the thing that I really fault them for is, haven't they read the papers lately?
Right.
Don't you? If at this point you don't understand, there's no ducking, there's no touching, there's nothing. Right. If you don't get that at this point, you're really stupid. That you would even put yourself in a position,
which is basically anything. What Bill Murray, his mea culpa, that was basically what he said. I think what he did is he mooned the cast, right, or something like that.
Oh, is that what happened?
Well, that's what I heard. And he's going, you know what? I should have known. I'm intelligent. I can still learn. I can grow. I was wrong.
Okay.
But at the same time, I could almost see myself doing that.
Mooning?
When you know, the environment on a film set where you really get funny and you're Bill Murray or whatever. And it's like, this is something that always gets a laugh. There's Bill Murray's hairy ass. I can see how that mistake could happen.
Yes. Back in the day.
And it's back in the day. But even in the day, it just doesn't seem that criminal. How upset are you really, or are you conditioned to be that upset? Is that what we've done?
I guess, but I don't say as long as somebody has a phone in their hand and they're able to tap their opinion in something at that given moment, it's over, because everything goes viral. Everybody out there are people hired professionally to search the internet for anything that somebody might have tweeted that said, "Oh my goodness, I just saw Michael Douglas eat soup."
Right.
That's all I have to tweet. Now, Michael Douglas's name comes up in a million places.
Right.
Soup comes up in a million places. Next thing you know, on Yahoo News, it goes, Michael Douglas can't eat soup.
Yeah, condemns Campbell's. Condemns
Campbell's. It's this tweet and things. There's no stopping it. It's the way we're going to go.
Again, I know I bring up the same things over and over, but 5-6 years ago, I ran for office twice, Congress and then the House of Representatives.
How'd that go, Gar?
I believe I think I lost because no one has asked me to show up at the Capitol. And I was worried then about, what have I done? I was a comedian. Are there Al Franken moments where, God forbid, I hug somebody too tightly? Certainly candidates were falling around me for this kind of thing. But now it's even worse, and there's more scrutiny and more platforms to go deep. I played Julio Iglesias on SNL. Is that inappropriate? Was I culturally appropriating?
Well, the question is, would they, if you were on SNL and they had a Latino person in the company, would it automatically just be the Latino person in the company should do it?
Which would probably be the case, but there wasn't. And so don't I get to do it? Billy Crystal put on darker makeup to do a great Sammy Davis. Is that crossing the line? I played a buckwheat impersonator, and we all wore, me, Tim Kazurinsky, we wore dark pancake to look like buckwheat so that we were impersonator. Now, obviously that was the joke, but the image doesn't get to explain the joke.
Well, we should create one place in the world where people who are okay with offensive jokes and we could all live together.
That's our podcast, Kenny. That's the direction we're going. This podcast is a safe place for inappropriate behavior.
All right. Yes. Good point. Yeah. No, but there's never going back to that time. There's never going back where
there is no going back, is there?
No,
this is it.
Yeah. This is
so we either legislate it or live within parameters, or it gets worse.
Let's talk about something else. Ask me about something in my life that's going on.
Your hair looks nice. Are you still using a hair product that you're proud of? Your hair looks very blonde and fluffy.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I will say this. I do have this new hair product.
Okay.
And it's supposed to make your hair like fuller, like thick and full. And the shampoo says, put it in your head, leave for 3 minutes.
Leave for 3 minutes. Do you clock that or just kind of guess?
Well, no, I'm kind of guessing. I do have a watch that you can go in the shower, but 3 minutes is a freaking long time.
That's a long time to have soap in your head.
So I do that, and I'm trying to be busy with the other parts of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Keep yourself occupied while
I mean,
this is going on.
I'm trying to imagine.
And
this.
then
You're busy with other parts of your body.
And then you rinse.
You rinse, of course.
And I put the conditioner in my hair, which they always say do a little tiny drop. Try to do a little tiny.
Yeah, because it's
and it says leave in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
It's like, what the it's like, what am I doing? I did my whole body the first 3 minutes.
Well,
there's a lot of putting stuff on your hair and waiting.
There are a lot of mathematics with you and cleaning yourself. I don't understand.
You know, Gary, you brought up my hair.
I don't get why there's time. It's like when you take a shower, because I have a family of people and they take long showers. And I say to my wife, honey, you know
why your teenagers are.
Yeah, I know. Of course. Yeah. But you don't get cleaner. Once
but you just stay in. No, I'm not in there for the cleanliness.
Clean.
No.
You're wasting water.
And I'm not going to be allowed to.
You're wasting water.
There's no
you're
question.
Having a drought, mister.
I agree.
No more of that.
I'm spoiled. I'm not. But by the way, I wouldn't be in there so long if I didn't have to wear that shampoo and conditioner for 12 minutes.
We're at 6
That's the first thing they should eliminate for the drought. And by the way, some of these shampoos, you know what they say in some of the directions in these shampoos?
What?
Repeat.
Well, rinse and repeat. Well, first of all, it fascinates me that you even read the directions or need to read the directions on shampoo. Yeah, I mean, isn't that, I don't know that I've ever read the directions.
Yeah.
You kind of know what to do.
Yeah, I know. No, you have to have directions because you never know. Each shampoo has a different thing. Some shampoos will say rub in heavy. Others will say use your fingertips. You have to read the directions. You could ruin the whole process. It's a whole chemical thing. And by the way, I'll tell you the other thing that as far as shampoo is concerned, and this is amazing. I had no idea I had such a strong opinion.
Angela Lansbury today. This is all just spontaneous Kenny.
There's another shampoo that I have that you put it on your head, and at about a minute 30, it starts to tingle.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
like
a
dandruff shampoo.
Oh, is that no? This is
like Tegrin and that stuff. That tingles.
Yeah, you get the tingling.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Yeah. So I like that part.
But even still, I'm only taking about a 2-minute shower, Kenny.
Your hair, that's why your hair looks like that.
My hair looks good. All right, but we digress.
Oh boy, do we ever!
Well, Kenny, what do you say we bring our guest on?
Okay.
We're joined today by television producer Laurie Zaks. Laurie was president of Mandeville Film since 2013, and she left, I think, last year to start her own company, Rosewood Television. She was the executive producer of the long-running ABC series Castle. I knew her back at Saturday Night Live, where she was the talent coordinator. And then I think, or before that, she was vice president of comedy at the comedy department of Comedy Central. Kenny met her somewhere in this having to do with MTV. She moved out west. We're going to talk about her career, but I also want to mention her son, Zach, is a name that I knew. Zach Robinson is a film composer, and I really want to talk to her about what he's up to. But before that, let's meet his mother, ladies and gentlemen, Laurie Zaks. Hey, Laura.
Hello, Laurie.
Yes, I'm Zach's mom.
Hi, Zach's mom. Well,
I'm just going to do just a couple of corrections, small ones. One is I ran TV for Mandeville Films, and I did, you're right, I left last year. I'm still on a deal at ABC Studios, but yeah, I left Mandeville last year. And what was the second part of the introduction?
Well,
I guess was it the title at Comedy Central? What was your comment?
Yeah, Comedy Central was after
SNL.
Yes, and then they moved me out here to open the West Coast office and then fired me. So that's how things pick up.
So you went out west with Comedy Central. Yeah. Well, where did you work with Kenny? Kenny, you come into this Zach story
Kenny,
somewhere.
I know Kenny.
I think, and I could be wrong, obviously, because I'm wrong a lot, wasn't there a sliver of time before you went to Comedy Central that you were actually a talent person for MTV?
Yes.
That's where I got to know.
That was a very small sliver.
There was a sliver of time around here.
Laurie, I was brought to SNL mid-'80s. you and I became very good friends. I spent a lot of time in your office. You'd tell me what was going on, and we would go to the parties together afterwards. And you would always remind me that you found me.
Yes. I went with Tim Kazurinsky to see Brad. It was Brad Hall. It was you,
Brad and Julia and Paul Bros.
I don't know whatever happened to Julia. You know what
I don't know. I don't know.
I think she has a podcast.
Okay. I haven't seen her. So yes, Julia LouisDreyfus. And I came back and I said, we went to see Brad, but these other two were really good. And I said, Julia, was at the time we really were having a hard time with women, bringing women in, and they really weren't working that much on the shows and all that. But anyway, I think Dig Ebersol was the one who just flew out and came back with the three of you and told Julia to straighten her hair. Like that was, it was like, can you talk to her about straightening her hair? And I was like, no. Now those are major HR violations,
Yeah.
Things like, I still get that. Like, if you go talk to him, tell him to lose some weight.
Well, one thing I am jealous about, because I loved that building when I was a kid growing up, is working at 30 Rock.
It's the best.
And
it was amazing.
And as a matter of fact, when people say, what should I do when I go to New York? I always recommend that they take this little tour of the history of broadcasting at 30 Rock. It's fascinating. And I know
I gave it. I was a page tour guide before I went to SNL.
That's why I was getting to it. Yes.
Sorry. I jumped the gun.
That thing, but you ended up getting a job there.
Yes. Because I was downstairs with I wasn't a job. I wasn't a page all that long, but I was downstairs taking care of the guests for SNL. So
is that what led to being talent coordinator then? Was that the next step? Hey, I got to backtrack for a second, because we were talking about Julia and making a little, off the cuff remark, whatever happened to her. Could you tell? Because we knew when I first saw Julia on stage in college, I thought, wow, there's something special and different and deep going on here. Could you tell at SNL? Because I know she wasn't happy there.
No, but no woman was happy.
No.
There at the time. Well, I thought she was really, really talented. I mean, honestly, I think I was too young to have that kind of perception, but I do remember that Larry David was there, right?
Yeah.
And he, I think that he saw it, but yeah, no, I knew I knew she was really special. And and whenever I run into her every once in a while, an Emmy party, whatever. And I'm friends with Paula Kaplan, who was her roommate in college. So you must know Paula too.
Yeah, very well.
My son went to Northwestern also. I love that school.
Oh, Zach went to Northwestern.
Yeah. Yes. So,
wow.
So
a lot of people came out of that school.
Yeah. And my trajectory is like to where I am now is so non-linear. It's just like one thing led to another. And I never really knew what I wanted to do. I kind of in the back of my mind thought I really want to produce, because I like to put things together, and have some control. But as you know, producer can mean many, many, many things. Like everyone calls themselves a producer, but I really am a producer. Zach always says, my mom is a real producer. So he worked for me once. We had a good time.
So should we talk about exactly what it is now that you are, and you have your own production company?
Yeah.
Correct?
Rosewood TV.
Right. And how that means, as far as how does it structure, the deals are structured when people hear, oh, they have a development deal or have a first look deal, this production company with the studio. I guess what I'm talking about is, in order to have a production company, you have to be able to go out there and develop projects, pay the people who work for you, all of those funds, all of the development funds. Is that supplied by the studio, or is this resources that you have to get independently? Could you explain?
Oh, no, I don't finance anything. I would never just people like should not put their own money into things. Oh, the deal I have, I mean, I've been under a deal for I think the past 9-10 years because I had developed and sold Castle and then went and produced that show for a while, but I got bored and then the studio brought me back. You know, they said, why don't you come here and set up shop? And then I met Mandeville. So I've been under a deal there for a while. And
so when they say set up shop, they're giving you the funds to run the administration, development fee,
yes.
funds for development, everything.
Yes. You know, it's a whole, you know, I don't know, people know, I guess your audience knows what development is.
Yes.
You know, I think that's 90% of being a producer is developing and selling, you know, like Willie Loman, you know, you're constantly selling. But yeah, the studio, when you're in a studio deal, they pay for everything. And in the case, the deal was done with Mandeville, and then Mandeville paid me. And now when I broke away from Mandeville, which by the way is splitting up as a film company, the studio was very supportive and they just continued with my deal. But what I have to do is if there's a project I like, I hear pitches a lot and, you know, IP or magazine articles and books and stuff. So I have to sell that to ABC Studios first, whether it's a drama. I only do scripted. I don't do realities. I do scripted drama, scripted comedies. And ABC Studios, or it's called ABC Signature now. They keep changing the name. So I sell it to them. Let's say I recently brought them a comedy. They really liked it. So they do a deal with the writer. They do like an IFCOM deal. Then we go with the studio and then we have to sell it to a buyer. And in my case, because it's part of Disney, they'd like you to kind of sell it in the Disney family.
Of course, right. That's their right of first refusal kind of a thing.
Yeah. So I'm exclusive to network and first look at and cable. Like the network passed on something. And I said, well, can I have it back for cable? And they said, yeah. And I sold it to Netflix. There are 3 things they passed on that I've sold to other places. So my, I'm not going to get into like deal negotiations and stuff, but
right. No,
I think they're going to stop the first look stuff. That's my feeling, because if you're at, everything is becomes so vertically integrated, all the studios, like, you know, Universal, you know, sells to NBC and there's, you know, UCP and all that. So under Disney, it's Disney Plus, ABC, Hulu, Nat Geo, although I don't know what they're buying, and Freeform.
Let's go back to that. Good question. What people are buying before. I mean, I even remember back when I was at MTV and Fox and people like that, you'd have the meeting and they go, well, this is what we're looking for. And then suppliers would come in and they would pitch you ideas. And then if it wasn't in there, or agents would come in and do the general, hey, what are you guys looking for this year? I'm wondering if what's the vibe is out there, or is there one?
Yeah, it's not like that. I think that's more unscripted. Were those scripted things?
No, they were scripted. In other words, like, at Fox would be, you know, we're looking for this type of show. You know, when Friends came out, everybody was looking for the next Friends. Or people would say, we're looking.
That's annoying when that happens. Well, because you know, these kind of mega hits are big hits because of the time, you know, and that's why so many reboots don't work. I mean, you're not going to get another Friends. It's all alchemy. It's lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, it really is.
You would never get that. It's a miracle. Yeah, the agencies have their separate meetings with the studios. They'll go and they'll all sit. They have a staffing meeting. They'll see and a development meeting, and they say what they're looking for. And by the way, I don't think anyone knows what they're looking for.
Right. Of course.
They just know it when they hear it. And at this point in my career, I really just do what I want to do. And
I like that.
I just, because you know, I wanted to be, my company's all female, and I wanted to really amplify female diverse voices. And I was really, honestly, as I'm just sick of working for men. I mean, no, you know, men are nice, have a great husband.
We have a purpose.
But I would spend a lot of time, you know, managing egos and having to deal with the taste of, you know, middle-aged to older white men that I didn't know, honestly. And
I'm laughing because I understand.
I don't care. I don't
He's a
care.
middle-aged white man, and I have to deal with him.
So yeah, there's so many women who have been in my position. They're always working, you know, for man. And I was like so sick of it, and I won't do that.
Well, and this is a stupid question because you've answered it, but just to clarify, so it's a very conscious effort. You didn't just suddenly look around and go, oh, everyone here's a woman. This was the operating model of your business.
Yeah.
This was going to be female centric.
Well, I took the TV department from Mandeville. I just took the whole department with me. And they were all women. So it just kind of turned out that way. But I do work. I mean, I work a lot with male writers and all that. It's just from the development standpoint, you know, when you have someone come up to you and say, hey, you know, let's do something about a bisexual trucker who's doing murder, you know, is a serial killer, you know, true story. And I was like, that's not what I want to put out there. That's not, you know, I feel like you have to be, especially now, you have to be really careful what you put out there. And by the way, selling is 25 times more difficult than it was.
Yeah, I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about what you talked about, the times. Right now, the times are so hard for everybody. We all know why. But when I go and look for something to watch on television and it's dark and it's depressing, I'm at this point now, no matter how great the quality is, no matter how much I hear about people talking about the performances and all, some of the stuff is graphic and very dark and successful. And I'm nothing, but I will not, but I'm at the point now, it's just like, I won't go there anymore. I need escapist entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking Outer Range specifically, aren't you?
No, I didn't like Outer Range. I mean, it was a big disappointment, but no, I just mean like, you think, I'm sorry.
I couldn't get into it. Outer Range. Did you?
No, I
kept trying. Well, but then I wanted to fall into the hole. I just didn't.
I read what it was.
Yeah, you know, my thing, I was like, after one episode and then realizing they're going to be talking about this hole for like weeks. I don't really care what's down there. So anyhow, I stopped that. But I guess my point being that if, for my taste at this point, like you talk about you wanting to do things that you want to do, are the things you want to do maybe not what we need right now? And what I mean by that is maybe something that is a little escapist, that you think the tenet of the country might be, let's go escapist, fun, sci-fi, I don't know what it is, or period pieces.
So what's the question?
The question really is that if I was in your shoes, I'm so done with getting dark projects, I would be like, you know what? I just need something for the soul. And I don't know if there's an audience out there, but I think there are people like me that are getting like, wow, you turn on TV, it's about a murder, another murder, and somebody gets shot. I watched, what's the show last night? Candy.
Oh, my wife loves Candy.
I love
Ooh, I mean,
my wife loves Candy.
It's like,
love that little cameo.
But it's not fun. It's just writing more stuff in the headlines. I just find that dark.
I think there's a proliferation right now, but I love crime. Crime podcast. Crime is very hot right now.
I know.
That has always been. Well, that's a perfect segue to my question, because I was a big Castle fan. And Castle really, I mean, first of all, it was the old sales model. It was still sort of traditional TV, unlike what we've been talking about. But you created a very strong female character. Things came together for that show for you. How did Castle come about? And was that your zeitgeist?
I heard a pitch from a writer, Andrew Marlowe, and he had a couple of pitches, and one of them was this combination of a cop and female cop and a crime writer.
Right.
And it evolved from that. And then we told it from the studio. He wrote the pilot. I think the big thing that worked there was Nathan Fillion, who, as I remember, was not our first choice. And it, like, God, things could go so wrong, right? Like, we were like begging Dermot Mulrooney, like begging.
I can see that. I certainly can see it.
I discussed that with Nathan because he said, like, what choice was I? And I was like, he was on Desperate Housewives at the time. I think it was my assistant who said, you really should check out this guy, Nathan Fillion, and then Stana. I was like 250 women came in, but Andrew created it. He was the writer, and I was the developer. I developed with him, but in between was the writer's strike, and they dropped it. we sold it.
That's
ABC
right.
dropped it. The studio kept it on. We had to resell it, and ABC was kind of taking too long. So then we had interest from CBS. And then we were the last pilot to be picked up at ABC, the last series. Some people were thinking it was too retro. I think another reason why we lucked out is because it premiered opposite the Jay Leno 10 o'clock talk show.
Wow. That was short-lived.
How fortuitous.
So that was like, oh my God, this is so bad. So people were watching us. And I don't know, something just clicked, and with all these fans. And look, after a few years, I was like, I need to get the hell out of here. It was like, I would, just like at Saturday Night Live, everyone was in my office complaining all the time.
Wow.
Constantly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I got a little toxic.
You were one of those, and I apologize if I was one of those, because I surely was.
No, we had fun, but no, I know. I remember people come in and we smoked cigarettes, and it was fun. But this was like too much, and I was like, what is my purpose here? And I really, realized that actually sitting on a set is not where I'm the most effective. But we had nice offices over there, and then that's when I just went to the studio, and I've been there for a long time. And my deal is up actually in July, so we'll see where I go.
Well, but you said you never really made a career plan, so that's kind of okay for you, right?
No, and thanks to Castle, it gives me freedom,
There was a time where people would go, it's impossible to sell shows. And then all of a sudden Netflix and all these other ancillary markets came along, and all these opportunities, and production is more than I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But with all those opportunities in all those places, is it harder or easier to sell something now?
Well, it's a little harder because everybody's very specific. Everyone is like, every single cable thing has their own little niche. And I think, the networks are a little, I would say, on somewhat of a decline. And I think we're in a big change, but yeah, it's definitely harder to sell. But at the same time, it's a good time for content creators, because it's a good time. And I think that there are certain people who just rise to the top of their game, and I think it's affected writers more than me, because I think it's really much harder for writers to sell than for me to sell, because I'm very particular what I take out, and I won't take out anything that I can't sell. Right. Like, I will just say, I'll hear a pitch and I'll just call the agent. I'll just say, I cannot sell this. I'm not the right producer. But yeah, it's a whole big thing. You have to, you have to do a pitch and but I just don't get into the financial.
Well, it's not the financial. I just remember there were times you'd hear anecdotes from show business people and say, a guy walked in and just threw out this idea, 7 people on an island and whatever.
Yeah, and it's a love story.
That ain't happening. That ain't happening anymore, right? I mean, you got to do sizzle reels and show Bibles and.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But, You have
Go
to
ahead, Laurie.
definitely put some thought into it.
Yeah.
If I had been able to look into a crystal ball
Mhm.
back at the SNL days, you were always someone that was, you were so good at what you did. You're so good. You were very focused and extremely intelligent. I don't think that I would have seen this career as it happened. Not that I would have bet against you if you said that's where you were going. I would, but I saw you as the head of comedy at any network. I saw you in sort of the corporate side of things rather than as creative as you are.
Yeah, and I was on the corporate side for a long time. And here's the difference, and it's also a big difference now. I did not even know these jobs existed, right? There was no internet. There was like, I, came out of school and I'm on Saturday Night Live, right? In New York, living the life, riding around in limos with rock stars, having a great time. And I have no idea that the jobs exist in LA. Even the corporate job, like there's no development jobs. There's there's definitely corporate jobs in New York. But yeah, I didn't even know it existed. But I just kind of knew I had to go to California. But I was on the corporate side and I was at CBS for a
You
long
were in
time.
Current. And tell me, how do you like Current and how do you work with Current now? It's a tough job.
That's what I say. I'm the current executive on the shows. Any series I'm on, I'm the current executive. I love Current. That's what taught me how to be a producer.
Yeah.
But when I first did it, I didn't know what I was doing. I never gave notes to anybody, it scared me to death the first time giving notes on a comedy when there's 40 people looking at you.
And they're all funny.
Yeah. Now it's easy, much easier.
But how do you feel now on the other side when somebody from Current gives you a note and you're like, oh no?
Yeah, that was funny in the beginning. That was really funny because I thought that once I started developing that I knew everything that the network and the studio were going to say because I'd been on the other side, but I was wrong. And yeah, sometimes it's really aggravating, especially some people, they just give like minute little tiny like notes that aren't going to change anything.
Right.
I've definitely had things ruined because of notes that can I remember there was one pilot I did and somebody high up gave a note and I said, we were in the editing room. I said, this is it. We're done. We're done. And it's very upsetting. And everybody gives notes. When people say, oh, Netflix doesn't give notes, HBO.
Right. Of course they do.
I have something for Netflix. Everybody gives notes. And I know on the other hand, I do tell writers, they're the buyers. We're the widget makers. They're the buyers. You have to listen to what they have to say. And, there's sometimes you kind of have to push back and you call up and you go, they cannot execute this note.
I'm going to ask this question, possibly the last question, is what bothers you now? What bothers you most about the business? Like the least thing that you look at the business and go, geez, this is where it turned out, or this is the part I don't like the most.
Podcasts.
Yeah, probably podcasts.
I guess just the direction that the networks are going. I just think it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sad because I always like, network TV. And I think there are certain networks that are just like so out of touch. And I think that for me, this is getting back to, I think, a previous question. It's very prohibitive to the things that I want to do. Like I love to do Peaky Blinders, I love to do like more international shows and things like that. But we're very limited here, working here and doing that. So I guess it's just, just that the networks don't really have that much Not diversity. That's not the word I'm looking for. Variety.
Right,
Not a variety show.
right.
But I wish it was like, when they had like some big hits like Lost, and when there was some really great stuff going on there. But
You know what I think is new nowadays that we never had before is the internet and everybody having an opinion. Because everything that you do or anything that anybody does on set now becomes a big click item, and everything becomes an issue. Everything. This person. Yeah,
that's
it's
another conversation. But yeah. So I mean, I haven't been on set for a while. I hope to be on one soon. We've mostly been in development, but yeah, I guess that's what it is. But things are, and the good thing is that there's so much great stuff on TV.
Oh no, I absolutely, I think so. I'm just, Bill Murray and I don't know what the truth is. Nobody knows what the truth is.
It's getting a little ridiculous. I'm sorry. I am very 1000% feminist, pro women, but this is really getting a little ridiculous, and it's mitigating the important ones.
Right. The context. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, look, I like to summate in positive ways, and I got to tell you, I love, and I know I speak for Kenny too. Your direction, the female centric point of view, what you're accomplishing, and the fact that you said, I do what I want to do. Those are the stories I want to tell. That's goosebumpy for me. I just think it's something that I hope more people could relate to, because that's the direction that we want to go.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I have the opportunity because I've been doing this for so long. Yeah, that's why I was saying that it was important for me to get out from under all the other stuff. And I did because I could. So, we can't always everybody can't do, what they want, but SNL, that was I wish I enjoyed it more when I was there.
It's so interesting that people come out now with that attitude.
Yeah, but we found fun in the cracks. Fun in the cracks. So good to see you.
Thank you. Pleasure to see you again.
Absolutely a pleasure. And we'll let you know where all this is and stuff. We'll send it to you. And it's just been wonderful to reconnect.
Thank you.
You look great.
Bye.
And the work you're doing is spectacular. Bye, Laura. That was enjoyable. I haven't seen Laurie in a long time.
No, neither have I. But that's through the magic of Zoom. Through the magic of Zoom. And I became aware of her during Castle, which is what I brought. I didn't know what she was up to. Mm-hmm. Didn't know she'd moved out west. And then I saw her name on Castle, which is a show that I really liked. I thought, wow. And we have a mutual friend, and Mark Gordon, who you know, and we were talking about Laurie once, and Mark said, you know why she's successful? She's the hardest working person in the room. You can tell. I should have mentioned that, but that's what he had said. Yeah, she was back at SNL too. I mean, talent coordinator. She coordinated all the talent. She really worked hard. She's really quite remarkable. Right. I'm working hard too, Kenny. Just so you know, I should have read the Fantastics before I said yes to doing it, because I have 4 incredibly difficult songs. Every time I open my mouth, it's a page of poetry. Wow. I'm the narrator that sets everything. And I'm having a lot of trouble memorizing. Would you think you would, when you were younger, yes, you would have gotten to been able to memorize it a lot easier? When I did theater, I never thought about memorizing. The process of rehearsals, I just realized, I know it now. And they'd say, we're off book. Fine. Wow. That's I never amazing. Had to work at it. Now I go to sleep listening to tapes of myself recording the lines. I listen to the CD from the off-Broadway, the Fantastics. Well, now, I've seen the Fantastics, but I really bit off. Have you seen the commercial for Prevagen, the one that you take the pill and it makes your memory come back? Have you seen? Yeah. And by the way, they always show these people who are so boring it look like they're zombies going, I'm a writer and a thing, and I couldn't remember anything, and now I take a pill. And now I use Prevagen, and now things are better for me. I'm like, whoa, okay. Pal. Yeah, they didn't have that much to remember in the first place. Yeah, but they fell off a horse. But I did do Prevagen. You did do Prevagen. Mm-hmm. Why? Are you having memory problems? I'm sorry, who am I talking to? Too easy. Yeah, so of course, everybody at our age, you forget names, you forget how to spell things, you forget where you work. Okay. You forget why you just walked into the room. Right. So did it work? Well, yes. And so what happened? My memory got so good that I remembered that when I bought it last time, it was $60 a bottle.
So
$60 a
$60
bottle.
a lot. So
I'm so glad that for that month I remembered that. So I never went back to get another bottle. I don't mind my memory. I lost my memory. I don't want to lose my money.
So
$60.
You're fine with your so $60. So how long does it last? Does it get you through 6 months?
No, 60. It's not. I think there are 30 pills for $60.
30 pills, and you take one a day. So for like a month, you have, and it's cumulative. So probably for like 3 hours, you have better memory.
Yeah.
For $60.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just soon forget everything.
I couldn't believe it, but at least I remembered.
At least you remember.
So that's what I have to say about
Prevagen?
Prevagen. Originally,
Prevagen.
their commercials used to be how their product was made from jellyfish. I don't know if you ever saw that commercial. Yeah, their big thing was,
I don't remember.
Our product was made from jellyfish, as though everybody in America should go, well, there's the difference. Of course.
Which begs the
make
question,
their product from jellyfish.
Who eats the first jellyfish to find this out?
Well, we're investigating that now.
It was obviously somebody with a little bit of a cognition
I know
problem.
who
right
made
there.
the connection.
They ate a jellyfish and like, oh wow.
I know, but I have that with everything, Gary. I don't know who the first person that looked at a horse and said, that's a good looking adhesive,
right? or a crab, or a lobster. How do you look at that and say yum the first time?
Well, what about guitar strings? The first time they said it was cat organs, or cat
gut,
whatever, cat gut was for guitar strings. And I'm thinking it was the first person that said, I know the cat's dead.
But you know what?
But when I went to pick her up, I swear I heard.
It makes a nice E. It makes a nice EAD. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how things are. I don't understand the cumulative genius of stupid people. In other words, I look at a building, like a skyrise. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's stupid, not at all, but they're not necessarily scholars.
Oh, no.
This person, but collectively they do something brilliant. How do you figure that out? How do you go from cave to,
Mutation. No, some people mutated to be a higher form of us, brain-wise. I mean, these people are brilliant. I mean, think of it. I mean, you ever see like those shows where they show like a professor by the blackboard, and on the blackboard are all these equations? They understand that. They look at that and they go, I see that the answer's 4.
And my brother's one of those. My older brother, he's a doctorate of nuclear physics.
Okay.
He's one of those. He's one of those people. And I'm of the same basic DNA. I mean, brothers, sisters are almost clones, right? And I'm the opposite end of the human spectrum. Literally. I'm sure I have some
You're not
qualities.
somewhere in the middle or anything.
I don't think my brother could ever pull off El Gallo and the Fantastic. So
I don't know. But listen, it's amazing. That's why the whole thing, when people question science, I'm like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
It's incredible. The cell phone, we fly in the air.
I know.
We do all of this stuff. You believe them. You have no problem getting, when the scientist says to you, go ahead, fly up in a plane at 3,000 feet. I'll do that. But when they tell you just get something to save your life, no. Right.
And we do those things, and the idiots like me complain when the plane's late. We complain when the cell connection goes south. It's like,
we all do that.
The fact that it happens is a miracle.
Unbelievable.
Geniuses conspired, and I'm pissing on what they did. Kenny, we should probably plug our guest next week, Mr. Bruce Baum, who I'm
looking forward to that. That should
we'll just set him loose, is the way I see it.
Well, he needs a little wrangling.
Does he need some wrangling?
You got to give him a little.
Does he need a little
Prevagen? No, I don't. We'll test his memory. We should do that.
We'll test his memory. Well, because I have a specific memory that I'll bring up on the show when he cut me. You remember when he cut me? He cut my face, Kenny, on air, live.
He did?
I think it was one of his cat gut strings.
If I was on Prevagen today, I would remember that.
You remember that, right? Well, let's sign off on this show. It was wonderful having Laurie Zaks, and next week is Bruce Baum. And Kenneth, it is always a pleasure to learn who you're going to be and what you remember.
Exactly.
Folks, you can catch us on all the popular podcast platforms. We have our own YouTube channel, The Gary and Kenny Show. We would love it if you would subscribe. And you can catch us regularly, Ed Sullivan, right here on our shoe, on DBNA TV, a streaming platform. Until next time.
Until then.
We bid you adieu.
Adieu.